right, we should be good here to go. Gonna make sure that the audio's good. I'll hear that on the other side. We plugged in a different mic, but we are ready to go. We've got game number 4 here today. Premier West facing off against Pinnacle Bank, post 32, Papillion-La Vista High School. Somebody standing right in front of my camera. Okay, good. Not anymore. All right. I tried the top one finally gave out. I've been doing such a good job. I had the 2 camera setup and finally now. But I'm joined here, Logan Torvey.
Thanks, Oliver. Happy to be here.
You're back.
Yeah, my wife and I live in St. Louis, and we were able to come back for the Firecracker. We got to pick our vacation, and we said, well, we want to watch some post-22 baseball. So
Aww.
they've been putting on a show for us, thankfully, this tournament, especially that game last night against Premier West.
Well, after last year, you can't not come here for the Firecracker. What a tournament that was. And considering we're, now 9 wins in a row, 43-10, threatening to, I don't know what kind of records we have, but we might have broken, I don't know what the win streak is, but with a couple 60-win seasons, it's probably more than 20, but 20 was a very big amount. Went 24-2 in June. Teams pulling it together.
We got a pretty gutsy group this year. We're led by a pretty strong team leader, Harrison Good, who's been around the block a couple times. He knows how to lead the team. He knows how to keep them in games, and that's been reflected in the fact that we just don't seem to ever go away.
Popped up and out of play. The opening batter is Easton Schneider. They might not look like it, but this is indeed Pinnacle. Both teams wearing some form of navy and white/gray. Very helpful. And that'll be a walk. So Schneider leads it off, takes his walk, and it'll bring up the shortstop, Alex Imig.
And this is an interesting matchup because on paper this game should not be close. Premier West has had a tough tournament thus far. They're sitting at 0-3, while Papillion is 2-0 and has cleared the teams they've played pretty easily. But Premier West, I think, is due. They're going to be a tough team to put away. I think they're tired of losing, and I think this game might be a lot closer than people expect.
Absolutely. In addition to that, this Pinnacle team is not a team that, I guess, at least last year, wasn't too familiar with the top of the rankings. They're currently in 3rd place behind the Hard Hats on a tiebreaker, but they are one of 3 undefeated teams competing for 2 spots in that championship game, and they were, I believe, 5th last year. It wasn't like their best showing. I know that a year could change things, but still, popped up into shallow foul territory, calling for it and making the grab at the first baseman. I believe that's Tony DiRienzo. So that means we got another one. We got a first out here. Brings up Tanner Apgar. Apgar pitched a great game yesterday in their win. First one in the zone, strike 1.
And you do have to wonder a little bit about the state of Premier West's bullpen. They've gotten a couple really close games in the past 2 days, one of which went to extra innings. And while these travel teams usually do have quite a few, as the catcher slips there, looks like he lost his footing on that turf.
I don't know.
While travel teams usually do have quite a bit of depth in the pitching department, these tournaments tax even the deepest of teams. So we'll see how much they've got left in the tank.
Yeah, that really does impact the end of it. The Hard Hats currently pacing their rotation, and that's a very deep tournament rotation that's been winning most every game late in the tournament because they've got such a deep rotation. It helps that we have guys that don't come out of the field. We have a few that can, but largely our pitchers are pitchers and can just do pitching.
Yeah, and we did have to mess with the order a little bit. Eli Kelly was initially supposed to start, I believe, on Saturday, but after Broden Sales struggled early on.
Swung on, hit high into center underneath it, and Kellogg makes the grab. Tagging up for 3rd is Schneider, and he will be safe.
Smart base running there. That ball was deep enough off the bat that that's a pretty easy call on the part of the runner. But anyway, as I was saying, sometimes you got to adjust the rotation to fit the circumstances you're given, and the Hard Hats did that last night, and Looks like Premier West is going to have to do the same thing.
All right. Now coming up to bat, we've got Trent Levicki. Levicki came in a few pinch hitting opportunities for Papillion so far. I believe this is his first start, though, and he's going to be cleanup. So, big deal for him. Ryan Thompson backing him up. We'll get lineups in a minute. And Caden Sterling at the 6. But Schneider trying to get on the board here for Pinnacle early. Anything from a wild pitch could do that. We saw the wild pitch end the game for Premier just a little bit ago. Now without their manager, has exploded at the officiating staff here. In the end, got tossed from the game and by rule not allowed back for the second game of the doubleheader.
And that is something worth noting. Premier West is a team that takes players from a lot of different places, so they're probably better off without a manager than someone like the Hard Hats would be who played together for 50 games. But it's still got to tax your mentality as a team.
Popped up. It's going to hit us. There it is. All right. And it's 2 o'clock, and there's no rain today. This is when it's rained the last 2 days. So appreciate that.
I might knock on wood, Oliver. You never know when you're going to jinx it in
happen.
South Dakota.
It'll happen. But the last 2 days it's been happening and pushing back our game number 4s. Right now, game number 4 only 30 minutes behind, which all in all isn't that bad. Ooh, swung on and hit well into center. Kellogg can't get to it. 1 run will score. Heading for second. Levicki rounding. He's still got speed. The ball just now getting there. And he's going to come to the third. He was willing to come home. He got the green light if he wanted it.
Yeah, and I think that took Premier West a little bit by surprise because the center fielder for Premier West was playing actually quite shallow. And that ball would have been caught, I think, if he was playing, giving a little bit more respect to the batters of the team from Papillion. But I think that's a lesson that's well learned, and they probably won't make that mistake again.
Absolutely. This is Kellogg's first game playing center for Premier in this tournament. He is only making his second start, played left last game. And
as I say that, though, still the left and center fielder are still playing actually rather shallow.
This could be just the fact you get a change in leadership in the dugout and those specific plays being called by the other coach here. Swung on and hit into center. That'll get down. Another run will score. And Pinnacle stakes themselves a 2-run lead here in the top of the first.
Yeah, that's a good piece of hitting right there. I think that was an attempted off-speed pitch that just hung up a little bit, and the batter lowered his front shoulder and stayed on top of it and drove it into center field. That's exactly what you want to do with that pitch.
Yeah, you got a lot more X's and O's than me.
I've been around baseball for a long time at this point.
Well, yeah. How old are you?
29, although I resent you making me say that on air.
Oh, okay. You're married, you're making a family trip out here.
That's true, yeah.
Doing pretty well for yourself. 0-1. And big part of Hard Hats TV as well. That one grounded over to short. Kenji Bray going to have a play at first. Lob pass over to first in time. But 2-run score thanks to a walk and a triple, as well as a single from Ryan Thompson. Pinnacle off to an early lead going into the bottom of the first.
Like I said, I do think they're the favorites on paper. They've swung the bat really well all tournament. They put away some tough teams, like I believe Missoula on day one. So you got to feel like they're in a good spot coming into the game, especially mentally, seeing how hard it's been for Premier West over the past 2 days. But we'll see if Premier West has a chip on their shoulder. Their top of their lineup has been absolutely lethal for the past 2 days. These guys can really swing the bat as well. So I think they're going to try to jump back out of the gates here and at least pull even with Papillion as soon as they can.
Yeah, something to note about Papillion, they actually don't have an awful lot of commits. All their guys that were actually going to go to a college, 2 JUCO guys, and an Oklahoma State commit on their high school team, skipping out on the Legion season. So this is not even their full strength. This is just most of what they have. And it's wild to think that they didn't even get to championship game in Nebraska.
Yeah, and that's unfortunately Legion baseball is suffering from the incursion of travel ball and AAU and all these other types of things where a lot of people think you'll get more visibility at these showcase days and tournaments, which means Legion teams are often cannibalized for these other types of showcase events. So sometimes these teams can suffer a little bit from that. Sometimes they maintain their core. It just kind of depends on the year and depends on what type of players they have.
We saw that happen with the Carpet Land team this year. Coming back, they won the Central Plains Regional, and then we played them in Gretna, and it was a shell of its former self. All of their D1 guys left, and it was a team that had almost repeated as the champions, and they come in and we beat them very handily.
So Dalton Berg up to bat here for Premier West. And one thing to note about this guy is he really likes to swing at the first pitch. First pitch last night against the Hard Hats, he one hopped the wall and right. And as I say that, he went for
Yeah,
one.
yeah, that's something you learn pretty quick. You can never be right. I'm right. If I'm right like 40% of the time, I'm happy. I'm like Eli Kelly. He's gonna go curveball here, and I'm right like 30% of the time. Oh, here's the rain.
Well, being right 30% of the time would make you a Hall of Famer in baseball.
It
So
sure would.
you take that
And
record and run with it. And yeah, just as you were saying
yeah,
that
I
there's not
know.
going to be any
I
rain,
can't be right either.
here it comes.
Ball softly grounded foul.
The good thing about this new turf field here at Floyd Fitzgerald Stadium is it does really hold up to the rain quite well. The only thing you got to
Mm-hmm.
worry about is the warning track, but pretty much as long as these guys want to keep playing, they can keep playing in this rain because the field won't really suffer too much for it.
Absolutely. And yeah, the field just very resilient. That's grounded through into left, and Dalton Berg gets himself a leadoff single.
And I'm not as in touch with the statistics as you are, Oliver, but Dalton Berg has to be in competition for one of the highest batting averages in the tournament.
Absolutely. When I was going through it last game, I believe he was at 4 for 8. This would make him 5 for 9. Though later in the game, I was not the one keeping the stats. He is. He ended up getting a double in there. Struck out. How do you score for batting average? It would be an 0 for 1 when you get a pass strike 3, right?
I believe so, yeah.
Yeah.
Although I'm not 100% sure. Berg also not the typical build for a first hitter. He's
Nope.
incredibly well built. He looks more like a cleanup guy, and he has the power of one too. But
Uh huh.
hitting leadoff for this Premier West squad.
It's an interesting choice. I think they just want to get him in the lineup as much as they can. And with the bottom of the lineup actually pretty well rounded, there's often many people for him to bring in as the top guy.
Yeah,
Um,
that does make sense. Some teams have that philosophy.
we use our 9-hole hitter in a different way than most teams. I remember going off to Pueblo and the announcer, I say, "Oh, Wilson Kiefer's hitting 400," and they're like, "400 just to be put at 9,"
Yeah.
and we just use him as a second leadoff, and the guy to bring in the rest of everybody, get a spark going, and it works great.
And a number of years ago, we had a player by the name of Cooper Bowman, who was by far the best
hmm
player on our team. He's in the A's program now, I believe, in AAA.
He's going to be the next major. He was the Texas League Player of the Month last month.
Yeah, and we hit him, third for a while. We hit him cleanup for a while, and eventually we just hit him leadoff because he could run okay, and he always got on base. So you want to get a guy like that as many at bats as possible. And Dalton Berg seems to be in the same boat.
It's funny we call him Run Okay. He has like 26 steals, no caught stealings so this year in AAA ball. Did he go? I think so. Yeah. And that's strike 3. So Trujillo goes down swinging, and it'll bring up Nate Hutchison. Well, Premier West, very much a first half team. It seems that once they get past that 4, they can't really do too much, but they're really good in the first half of the game.
Another thing to note is we got a left-hander on the mound here, which makes it very difficult for the guys from Premier West to advance without being challenged. A lot of teams will do a first move steal on a left-hander, meaning as soon as the pitcher twitches, you go, and you just trust that either the runner's fast enough to make it or that the team in the field will make an error. But it doesn't seem like Berg is willing to run on the pitcher as of yet.
Yeah, he hasn't tried to steal much in this tournament. He only had 1 last night. That is fouled away.
And Berg did take off that pitch, only to have
Yeah,
to run all the way back. So maybe he'll think better of it next time.
we'll see. Now he's going to get a million checkbacks, even if they're never going to get him.
Yeah, it doesn't look like Berg was running on first move there. It looks like he was waiting for a movement to the plate. So there's two different styles of how you can steal off a left-handed pitcher, and it looks like he was going the safer route.
Hutchison watches the ball, should be vodka, right? Yeah, okay. And there's the pickoff.
Berg is not that far off the bag. I'd be very
No.
surprised if he tried again this
They're not-
at bat to steal.
He's not going to, but they're going to keep doing it because now they know he's trying to at some level.
Yeah, he's only about a stride and a half off the bag, which is not very robust as leads go.
Especially when he's tall.
That's an excellent pitch there. Fastball at the top of the zone. You'd have to work pretty hard to catch up to that one.
Yeah. I saw, who was it? It was Grego from the Bellevue West team hit a ball that was like eye level and just turn on it, hit it right against the third base line and hit it into the corner for like a 2-out double. I don't know how that happened, but I was double taking it then.
You have to have some pretty incredible bat speed to catch up to a ball up there, and that's not something a lot of guys have.
Yeah, well, he had the Nebraska commit definitely had good enough bat speed on that, but it definitely got me. It's something that a new baseball fan would just look at and be like, "Oh, he got a hit," and the rest of us are freaking out.
Yeah, there's layers to a game like baseball, which is what makes it enjoyable for most of us.
Absolutely, you can jump into chess, but it takes a long time to be a master. Full count, popped up into right. Underneath it, calling for it is Kellogg. He'll make the grab. Kind of in right field's territory, but anyways. Out number 2.
And that was a battle between Hutchinson at the plate and the pitcher from Papillion. It was at least a 6 or 7 pitch at bat. Hutchinson fouled off a number of pitches, and that's got to feel good and be a confidence booster on the mound when you actually win that battle and are able to retire him and put him away for the second out of the inning.
Absolutely. So I'll go through the lineups in between innings here. But right now, that's Kraneski. All right, I'm looking at the wrong part. This is Skylar Kraneski. All right, behind the dish for Papillion. And Aiden Vodka, right? Yeah. All right. And on the mound, it's Trevor Antoniak. On the mound. He was pretty good last year in his start. I don't remember who he played against, but I just remember him being good. Swing and a miss. Strike 2. And now trailing in the count, Kendrick Aragon from Farmington, New Mexico.
And Aragon was significantly behind that fastball, so he's really going to have to get ahead of something if he wants to foul off a couple pitches or get one for himself out into the field.
He gets a pitch. Man, you're going to have to, over the course of somewhere in here, I'm going to have to learn, because you were helping me on the chat, but I need to learn the technical definition of a balk and what is and isn't. Swing and a miss, strike 3. It doesn't matter that he took off. And that'll be the inning. So, despite a leadoff single, nobody scores in the bottom of the first for Premier. They are now up, or Pinnacle retains their lead 2-0. Looking to build on it here in the second.
And the pitcher from Papillion is really doing a good job of identifying weaknesses of hitters. He knew that Aragon was struggling with his fastball. He threw him 4 straight fastballs and ended up striking him out on 4 pitches. So that's how you know that you're in a hitter's head, when they know what's coming and they still can't hit it.
Absolutely. That's something that I see Eli Kelly do all the time. Lee also known to just pound people with the heater that can't get it.
Well, for a pitcher like Eli Kelly, and this is something we saw last night, particularly in the final at-bat of the 8th inning, is his curveball is so good, and hitters have to respect it so much, that you can condition them, and then by the time you throw a fastball, it completely freezes the batter.
Yeah, it was something special with Kellogg, because I didn't think Kellogg was swinging at that anyways. Full count, I thought he was going to take it. He was going to kind of challenge Eli to just hit him in the zone, and because he had only swung at one other pitch and was pretty far behind it. He's got the small zone. He's hunched down to the ground, and it was like, Eli, you got to hit your mark here, and he put it right down the middle with space to spare on every side.
And that was, I think, just a good pitch call from pitching coach Nick Kindred. He knew that everybody in the building knows that Eli Kelly's strikeout pitch is a curveball, and he drew up a fastball in the outer part of the plate that absolutely froze the hitter. So, excellent job on the coaching front for the Hard Hats.
That was something special last night for sure. I mean, You can't even really say too much about what happened out there. It was just, we seem to always come through when the moment requires us to this year. That's something that didn't happen last year. We had a lot of walk-offs last year, but we had a lot of times we just kind of didn't come back from 2 down. That's a hard ball hit to third, and that'll be out number 1. Caden Sterling, the batter.
I think for Premier West here, it's incredibly important that they get a quick inning and get bats back in their hands. They are trailing in momentum, they're trailing on the scoreboard, and they're trailing in the tournament. And so I think as many times as you can have a chance to strike, the better. And I think that's what they're going to be focusing on this inning.
AJ Mata takes a ball off the plate. And is Skylar Kraneski to bat here. He was a part of Game 1, not a part of Game 2. Papillion playing their doubleheader day today. It's going to be the 2 teams which are currently undefeated, Bellevue West and Post 22, getting their doubleheader day tomorrow. I don't think the Expos even do that. I think they only play like 3 games.
Yeah, the Expos are here to make sure that everybody in the tournament has an even number of games, but despite that, they're still capable of showing up and beating people when they least expect it. So,
absolutely.
Took down Missoula 6-0 yesterday in what I think was a surprise to everybody.
Burke Eschmeyer, lights out on the mound. Complete game shutout from him. One of the best performances of anybody in this tournament.
Mata looks like he's struggling a little bit to find the strike zone here. 3-1 count.
Ball 4. And there you go. A walk, his second of the game. He handed out to Skylar Kraneski. He'll get a courtesy runner out there on first.
And Mata doesn't have a lot of extension on the mound. He's got kind of a short pitching move, and sometimes when that happens, you can tend to not extend towards the plate and sail the ball a little bit. So you either miss really high a lot or you miss really low a lot when you try to overcompensate. And I think most of the balls in that at-bat were missed high, and so I wonder if he's having a problem just extending towards the plate. Sometimes that can happen when a pitcher has questions about their footing. And in the last game, some of the Premier West pitchers were slipping on the mound, and I wonder if the rain has made that slightly worse.
It might have.
That's a good curveball right there, though.
Yeah. That being said, we saw, honestly, throughout the tournament, the trend has been that... Oh, we got a conversation in front of the camera. Can I switch it back? Will this camera work for me, please? Maybe? No? Alright, still artifacting really nice. That's popped up, and it will drop in foul territory.
Another thing to note is Mata has not yet checked on the runner at first, who I think has been getting a little bit more aggressive over there with every pitch. And so it'll be interesting to see if he decides to take advantage of Mata's seeming inattention to him over there on the bag.
Still conversation happening, but it really is. I got one of the people came by yesterday, said that they were looking to sell me some caution tape put near the camera. Fouled away.
Yeah.
Oh, right to the concourse.
Like I mentioned, the runner did decide to take advantage of Mata there. Mata didn't even check on him once, and so the runner got an amazing jump. He just got a little unlucky that the hitter at the plate is protecting with 2 strikes and had to foul that ball off.
Jude Purvis ends up taking off there, comes back. Popped up, should be a routine play for DiRienzo and the defense, and it is. 2 outs now here for Mata and Premier West. It'll bring up the top of the order again. Easton Schneider coming back to the plate. Schneider walked in the first and stole a base, came around to score. Been doing a very good job in this tournament overall.
And there's a check by Mata towards the runner. I think that's a smart move, especially with 2 outs. You don't want that guy getting into scoring position, particularly when your team's already trailing. You need to pay him a little bit more attention over there. And there goes the runner anyway. The throw. Good one, but it skips past the shortstop into center field. The runner will stay put, though.
Yeah, that was an interesting thing. Kenji Bray needed to already have the tag down by the time he caught it in order to make that play, so he sold out for that. Trusted in his defense to back him up if he couldn't, and he couldn't.
Yeah, the runner got a really great jump there. That guy's pretty quick, so I think the defensive tandem did about as good as they could have for Premier West. Just wasn't quite enough.
Stolen base successful there, coming from Jude Purvis.
So runner in scoring position now is big to see if they can convert.
Swung on, and it'll get through. Right fielder going to scoop it up. Berg, the throw home. It's a solid one, and oh, didn't get him, but that was close.
And there we see the game of inches that is baseball. You miss tagging the runner out to second by a couple inches, and all of a sudden you're down another run when a single goes through the right side and he scores from second.
It really is. That was a very good throw from Berg. Pretty disciplined one, too. Wasn't too wild. And just a little bit late. That pinch runner, courtesy runner, ending up coming in big. And a single brings in the runner. Now taking off. No chance you're catching him. No, they did. Wait, he fell off the bag at the end. Wow.
Yeah, I can't tell. I think he might have tagged him initially. It looked like the throw beat him there. That was a really good throw.
Yeah, it
By
was.
the man behind the plate.
From the catcher, Kendrick Aragon. But that is how it ends. Also, when he did get hit, or when he touched the bag, he kind of bounced off of it for a moment. The tag was held, and the umpire recognized that as well.
So Premier West limits the damage to 1 run. They still trail 3-0, however, headed into the bottom of the second. They're going to need to get something going here pretty quick to give their team some momentum going into the rest of the game.
Yeah, they've kept themselves in this thing, but now they got to make a move.
One thing to note, though, is that they were trailing the team from Omaha in the previous game 5-0 and ended up only losing by 1 run. So this team doesn't have a whole lot of quit in them, and I think that they will look to bring things back into line here relatively quickly.
The 5, 6, 7 due up. It's Bray, DiRienzo, and Rousey. A couple of power bats in there. And we'll see how it goes. All 3 of those players have already pitched in this tournament. A lot of guys going both ways. Kenji Bray, the only college signee of the group, going to the great engineering school, Colorado School of Mines, to be an ore digger.
The rival of our local South Dakota School of Mines.
Yeah, I've gotten to be at both places. Just as a result of things, got to do a game for Black Hills State at some point in there, in high school actually, when there was a combination dentist appointment and DJ shift for the 2 that normally do it, and got to do one at Metro State. And then I have a friend out there at Colorado School of Mines, did a lot of stuff for, watched their football games, went up there to Golden. Really nice spot, really nice place, even if they are very good at sports and beat Black Hills State kind of often. Strike 1. And the South Dakota School of Mines, that is, too. Yeah. The thing about Colorado School of Mines, they get a lot of D1 guys that prioritize education, guys who could have gone D1 but just do it for the degree. And so they are usually better than most of the other D2 schools around because they can reach up and steal guys that would have been low D1 or mid D1 otherwise. Swing and a miss from Kenji Bray.
And Kenji Bray, you can tell his back foot's just about out of the back of the batter's box, which is typically how you tell that a hitter is worried about the velocity coming off the mound. And that fastball blew him away.
Mata offers high. Count out 2-2.
Looks like Mata's relying on that little slider as his strikeout pitch, but with how much Ray's currently struggling with the fastball, you got to wonder if he's going to go back to it here.
Outside, ball 3, count now full. Mata, a super senior from Arvada West High School.
I think if you're Ray, you've got to be prepared to fight anything off, but I think you're probably expecting a fastball here. That's really the only pitch that the pitcher's been able to throw consistently for a strike.
Fouled off the mask.
And it was indeed a fastball there, so you got to think that that's what you got to really prepare for the most if you're in the batter's box.
Man, Kenji Bray having a great season, or a great tournament at the plate so far for him. Cannot complain about anything you've seen on that side of things. He swings and lifts one into foul territory and right, it'll fall.
That was an incredibly tough play. That right fielder had a ton of ground to cover to even get over there, and I don't see that play made in that corner very often.
No, these confines are very extra base hit friendly and very home run unfriendly.
Yeah, that's true, they are. Especially the turf field. It's so much faster than a natural grass field that sometimes you'll see things turn into extra base hits that would normally not be.
Yeah, they don't stop as much. The ball just kind of glides along the ground. Full count. Payoff pitch. Swing and a miss!
Yet another battle won by the man on the mound. That's another at-bat that's, 10 pitches or more. And another Premier West hitter that's incapable of capitalizing.
Well, that's K number 3 for Mata. This is Antoniak. My bad, I was the other way around. Trevor Antoniak, 4 Ks, or 3 Ks in 4 batters. Swing and a miss, strike 1.
We do apologize if we're a tiny bit unprepared with the lineups. This game got started unbelievably quickly to the point where we only had the lineups in the box for maybe 2 or 3 minutes before first pitch was thrown. So that is, I think, the fastest turnaround of any game I've seen this tournament.
We did about a 16, 17 minute on day 1. We've made some really quick turnarounds for sure, but it's not, we're a little behind, but we were always going to be behind because we don't build the time for the 7:30 game. So to all of you that are like, man, I wish that my team would be on time. Don't trust the times. I put that they're variable, and I even put in parentheses this time that the first 2 games were definitely going to be 30 to 15 minutes late. Ball misses high. Antoniak to DiRienzo. DiRienzo, the closer, who was unable to close the door last night, but did get some good hits this morning. 2-2. Smacks one to first. It's covered. Apgar takes it to the bag, and out number 2 recorded.
DiRienzo had some really good stuff on the mound last night, too. You go from a hard-throwing right-hander for Premier West last night in their starter to someone who's a left-hander that throws in the sidearm slot that has a slider that moves about 18 to 20 inches across the plate. He did just about everything he could to keep Premier West ahead in that game.
Antoniak's first pitch, fastball down the middle. Up to bat now, Mateo Rousey. He's a defensive wizard and a threat at the plate. Ended up coming in relief, pitching-wise, in the end of that last game. Did a good job limiting Scott's production, though they were just out of reach. Fouled off the leg.
That slider barely got to the plate, but Rousey felt like he needed to foul that one off, which is indicative of the fact that he's respecting the fastball and trying to adjust to everything else, which is a tough position to be in as a hitter, especially now with 2 strikes.
All right, 1-2 strikes here. Swung on and hit hard over to short. Good play, throw to first in time, and that'll be the inning. 1-2-3 for Antoniak, and nothing in the bottom of the second for Premier. They still trail 3-0. Antoniak currently pitching very well, only allowing the leadoff hit so far. No hits, no runs, no earned runs, no errors, nobody left on in that inning.
And like we mentioned, Dalton Berg, the leadoff, the only man with a hit for Premier West, is by far the most dangerous man in their lineup, at least thus far in the tournament. So you have to feel good if you're a Papillion fan about the way that he shut down the rest of the lineup.
And an official on that day is 5 for 10 with 3 doubles, which actually, believe it or not, is tied for best with Colton Calderon of Pueblo, who also had 3 doubles and a home run. He's having an incredible tournament at third base out there. Sam Matosic also doing a fantastic job for Missoula. The other standouts, Parker Ingram here for Papillion. He had an unbelievable day yesterday in his lone game. Hit a triple, hit a single, hit another single, maybe even a double in there. I'm not sure, but he got tons of bases by the handful. And
in addition to hitting 500, that third baseman for Pueblo is incredibly good in the field. He's someone that's received acclaim for some plays he's made in this tournament, justifiably so. He might be either the best defensive third baseman in this tournament or the second best next to our own Aiden Roberts.
Yeah, Roberts is definitely, that was something that definitely caught them off guard in Pueblo. They saw the first one. The thing about Roberts, he throws full strength every time, no matter if it's a close play or not, just in order to not have variation in his mechanics. And, that swung on and crushed into left field. A leadoff single for Alex Imig starts the thing off.
And Imig there was clearly sitting on a fastball. He knew exactly what was coming, and he turned on that ball pretty viciously into left field. So he's a rare kind of guy that likes to swing at the first pitch. He sits on one particular thing, and if he sees it, he takes it for a ride, and he certainly did that at bat.
It is Mateo Rousey, a very good third baseman defensively on this team. He just has a few times, there's a few lapses that just, I mean, he has a few errors, but he makes the incredibly difficult plays as well.
Mm-hmm.
And it's hard to weigh that as somebody, observing the game, whether it's better to just be consistent but not make the great plays. That's flipped over to second. Relay to first is offline, but they tag him. And that's going to be 2 outs now here in the top of the third. Double play on Tanner Apgar and Alex Imick.
And one thing to note about Premier West is they traveled incredibly well. So
Mm-hmm.
shout out to the Premier West fans. They've been a pretty significant presence all tournament. They showed up last night, especially against the Hard Hats, and made some noise. So it's always nice to have stands full of fans participating in all the games of this tournament, not just the primetime games at night.
Mm-hmm. Well, I believe Denver, the closest, that's going to be chopped over to third, Rousey to first, and that'll be the inning. Uh, Despite the leadoff single, faces the minimum, and Mata gets out of there. Still a 3-0 game.
And it looks like Mata's settling in a little bit. He's starting to throw his breaking pitch for a strike more consistently. And that is the mark of a pitcher that's able to get guys out, is if you're able to have your strikeout pitch be a strike consistently, then you start to find your groove. And it looks like after the first 2 innings in which he struggled to locate that pitch a bit, it's gotten a little bit easier for him as we move into the later innings of the game. That's a good sign if you are a Premier West fan.
Totally. All right, so I know we got a few Hard Hats fans in here. We got several people in the stream that are Hard Hats fans waiting, watching, maybe watching this before they get ready, put on whatever cold weather stuff that they want to tonight before coming out and getting their seat early for the fireworks show.
And I think everybody in the building is hoping that we have a slightly warmer night than we have the past 2, because the past 2 nights have gotten a bit chilly by the time we get to the later innings of the Hard Hats game at night. So
yeah, it was like that with Premier West. A lot of people, my dad was like, man, a lot of people are leaving early. Do they not have faith? And it's like, no, they know they can watch the game here, and they are just so cold. And they didn't bring the right equipment to sit in the stands, and they're going to follow the game.
yeah, and it's funny to try to guess where players are from based on what they're wearing. Dalton Berg, for instance, we think he's probably from New Mexico because he wears a hoodie under his jersey no matter how warm it is.
Yeah.
And that's indicative of someone I think who's used to a little bit of a warmer climate.
Absolutely. We got to see that with Mike Casillas last year. I was nicknamed the Hooded Bandit for Pueblo. He had 5 steals and wore that hoodie underneath everything. Apparently, he did that in Pueblo too, pretty consistently, which is something because that touches 100 pretty often during the summer.
Yeah, well, I think if you wear a hoodie, you're automatically better at thievery, so maybe that's what he's going for.
Very
with
true.
The whole stolen base thing.
That's probably why he got this steal last night. It was interesting. I think the Hard Hats played their the single best game they have of the entire season on the first night.
That was an incredibly good game. It was incredibly clean. It was incredibly solid. We played really well defensively, particularly Philip Bentz behind the plate. So, yeah, that was something that we needed to do because that Rocky Mountain team is very tough and they have a good pitcher on the mound.
Well, and it's their ace. It's the All-State guy. And the guy I put down as the all-tournament pitcher last year. It's not official, but I'm going to do it again this year because, I do all the games. So might as well. I've got full access. That's swung on and driven hard into right. Right fielder misplays it. He comes in too soon. And running around to second, Brock Lopez headed for third. And the throw, not going to get him. A triple. He almost got his hand off there at the last second.
Yeah, he almost slid directly past the third base bag.
Mm-hmm.
Again, though, I think that's a very catchable ball. I wonder if the players from Nebraska are used to the ball not carrying quite that much. The wind is kind of blowing out to right. We got a little bit of thinner air up here in Rapid City. And it seems like he was not expecting that ball to carry, and it just kind of kept carrying.
Yeah, it just kept going. Absolutely. Caden Sterling just came in on it. That happened, now that you say it, that happened to a Scott guy earlier also. Which makes me think that could possibly be just a difference in, particularly, I would assume, for the Omaha area, humidity.
Yeah.
In the air.
It's definitely humidity. And if you're a golfer, that's why you like playing golf in higher altitudes, because you can hit the ball further. The same is true in baseball.
Colorado has a million of them. That's swung on and going to be blooped into left. It'll fall. Coming in to score, Brock Lopez. And Premier West on the board. A single. Back-to-back hits off of Antoniak, and the bottom of the order coming through big.
And Kellogg did not hit that pitch very well. It was right off the end of the bat, but it was one of those things where you just hit it well enough to get it out of the infield and good things happen. And that's what coaches tell you. Say, just put a bat on the ball and good things will happen, and that's exactly what happened to that at-bat.
Kellogg, a speedster, now on first base. Daltonberg at bat, probably the most dangerous one in this lineup.
There's an interesting strategic decision to be made here for Premier West. You've got a speedster on first, but you've also got a guy with more extra base hits in the tournament than almost anybody else at the plate, who's probably going to score on a double regardless if he steals second or not. So with a left-hander on the mound, you got to wonder if they're going to take the risk.
And a pick-off attempt. Kellogg's got a lot of ground to cover. Him standing next to Apgar there, coming up to his shoulder. You see that type, and then you're like, usually they're really strong, though, because they're usually wrestlers, too.
I was about to say, when I was watching the Hard Hats game last night, I made a comment that this guy meaning Jake Kellogg, is built like a wrestler. He's not very tall, but he is incredibly solidly built. Those guys are usually fast and very difficult to pin down.
Absolutely. 0-1. Daltonberg waiting. Strike one, or strike two, delivered on the outside of the plate, just painting the corner there.
That's an excellent pitch, because you know most of Berg's power is to right field, even though he can drive a gap the opposite way as well. So keeping the ball on the outside part of the plate is the safest thing you can do as a pitcher.
Berg probably the strongest lefty in the tournament. Swing and a miss, strike three. Antoniak whizzes a fastball right by him, and Berg goes down swinging.
And that is strength versus strength right there. The pitcher knows what the hitter's good at, and he says, I'm going to go right at you, I'm going to challenge you, and I'm going to throw a fastball right by you. It was a little bit up in the zone, so a little bit harder to catch up to. That was an excellent pitch.
Trevor Antoniak now up to 4 strikeouts on the game. Strike one, delivered high. I know a lot of other teams definitely rooting for Premier here. If Pinnacle Bank falls down to the 1-loss spot, then it would only take one more of them, either Bellevue West or the Hard Hats taking one, to allow a couple more teams back into the race for a championship game berth. No balls, 1 strike. Sorry, 2 strikes. Outside, taken, throwback. Kellogg completely sells out and is able to make it back to first.
Kellogg's doing his job over there. He's thrown 2 pickoff moves and 1 throwback from the catcher, which means they're worried about him. And if you're in the defense's head, you're doing what you're supposed to do on the base.
He takes off this time and can't get a good grip on it.
So that was kind of an interesting, because the catcher from Pinnacle Bank, he's got a little bit of a weird pop move in which he kind of flips the ball from his glove hand to his offhand, which some catchers will try to do to make sure they can get the ball back past their shoulder faster to get more power on the throw. But it just looks like he missed the toss a little bit and couldn't handle it after it came off his glove.
So couldn't grip it out the air.
Kellogg safe at second, and now there's a runner in scoring position who you think would score on anything out of the infield here.
Well, we'll see if Max Trujillo up to the task.
Trujillo being pretty patient this at-bat. The pitcher for Papillion's not throwing a whole lot of balls, but he's really milking the count and making sure that he's making the pitcher work for it.
Trujillo, several extra base hits for him as well. The payoff. Just outside, a gutsy take, and it pays off.
I think gutsy take is an understatement. That was unbelievably close to a strike. But the risk pays off, and so now we've got 2 runners on with 1 out.
And it brings up the 3 and the 4 too. So should have some of the better hitters in the lineup here. Nate Hutchison coming up. He had a day last night. Very good game against the Hard Hats.
And Nate Hutchinson is a big guy. He stands probably at least 6'2 to 6'4. He stands pretty upright in the box as well. And you know if he gets a hold of one, it's probably not coming down anytime soon. So you got to hope for Premier West that he can get a hold of one right now and even this game up.
Yeah, everything he's touching going into the outfield at some level. Antoniak throws high. I gotta wonder why Premier. I know they have Pinnacle Bank as the sponsor, but they just this Post 32 team is Pinnacle Bank, but I don't know why they abandon the color scheme normally and go to a more typical one. That's going to be grounded softly, scooped by Rousey. The throw on the run is high and gets away. That'll score Kellogg, and it's a one-run game here.
And that, I think, more than a mechanical error, is just a mental error from the third baseman. He was throwing on the run, he didn't square his shoulder to the target, and he just kind of dropped his elbow and the ball sailed on him. And that's baseball 101. You learn that from super early on. He knows that. And I think it's just something, or if you let your concentration slip for just a little bit, something like that can happen.
Yeah, my apologies. That's Parker Ingram, the third baseman, making the error there, but can you blame me with the jerseys being as similar as they are? But, error. Able to allow Hutchison to reach base and to reach second. Trujillo reaches third on the error. And coming in to score is Kellogg. The run will be unearned to the starter Antoniak, but nonetheless.
And it looks like a squeeze play was just attempted for Premier West, but the pitcher or the hitter pulled it back, and the guy on third kind of had to scamper back there. We'll wonder if they go for that again here.
The old Aaron Roach. 1-0. Popped up, out of play. That's a normal swing there. We'll see.
That's kind of a one-hit wonder type of thing. You show it once and one at bat,
And now they know.
Yeah, the trick's kind of up at that point. So I think it's probably likely he's going to swing away here, and a single can make a big difference.
You could keep showing it, and then they just keep throwing balls and take a walk. Don't even try to get one down. I saw Wilson Kiefer do that a couple nights ago.
That's true. And a lot of the times, that's just a hitter's call. You know, most of the time, a coach won't call that kind of thing. And if a hitter makes a judgment call and thinks that that's messing with the pitcher, they'll do it on their own accord.
1-2. Swung on and hit hard into left center. That ball's it's got distance, rolling all the way back to the wall. 2 runs will score. Premier now in the lead on a double from Kendrick Aragon.
Yeah, Kendrick Aragon got all of that ball. It didn't have a whole lot of height on it, but it got out into the outfield on a frozen rope and skipped all the way to the wall, and there's not a whole lot that the Pinnacle Bank team could do about it.
Yeah, Hutchison scores from second, Trujillo from third, and now Aragon standing on second base himself. Aragon had a pretty slow start to the tournament overall, was not having a fantastic time. It was 0 for 7, 0 for 10 entering this game. That's his first hit of the tournament, and it's a big one.
As first hits go, that's a pretty solid one. He hit that ball right on the screws, as they say, and so that's quite a way to shake off the slump.
Yeah, that's a reason they have kept putting him at the cleanup spot. Check swing fouled away by Bray.
That was an excellent off-speed pitch by Bray. It completely fooled the batter. He went about halfway around, got a piece of it, and then wandered out of the batter's box looking confused. So that's how you know as a pitcher you're doing the right stuff.
Antoniak getting ready. Kenji Bray. 2 doubles in a game the first time they played. Or these 2 teams actually did have history. I'm going to look that up real quick, but they played last year. At some point, I believe Premier came out on top there. I have to double check though. Going back through the live category, you can watch all of our streams back on YouTube later, whenever you want. Let's see. No, I'm mistaken. Nope, they didn't play each other. They got close, but no. 2 balls, 1 strike. Bray makes good contact, hits it into the gap, and it'll be caught by the center fielder for Papillion-La Vista, Aiden Vodka.
Vodka covered a lot of ground to get to that ball. He got a really good jump on it. The wind's kind of blowing out to right, held it up just enough for him to get there. That's an excellent play, and one that probably saves a run for the Pinnacle Bank team.
Yeah, for sure, definitely. Kenji Bray ended up making a Scott player pay for a single that he jumped at, tried to knock down. It got past him to the wall. He ended up stretching that into a triple on a ball that really was hit no more than 80 miles an hour out of the infield. And he would have done just the same there. Definitely would have scored a run. 0-1. DiRienzo, high hit ball out of play. Great contact.
DiRienzo's got an interesting approach at the plate. He's really, really low, which is a contrast to a teammate of his like Nate Hutchinson, who stands really tall, which means he can get under a lot of balls, and that's kind of what we saw there. He's got it under it a little bit too much and kind of blooped it out of play.
What's the advantage to that?
A lot of guys, when they get 2 strikes, like to go a little bit wider and stay a little bit lower because you get better coverage in the outside part of the plate. It's like if he's standing up, he probably doesn't foul that pitch off, which is way outside. So a lot of guys just like to do that, from the first pitch of the at-bat because it gives them better coverage.
Okay.
And a guy like DiRienzo is probably not hitting for power quite as much. He's probably a contact guy, and so he feels like it's probably more to his advantage.
0-2. Swung on and hit into right. The right fielder was playing very deep. He slides and makes the play anyways. Caden Sterling able to come up with the ball, but Premier with a rally inning, and they now are in the lead going into the halfway point of the game.
And there's a lot of interesting strategy to be noted there because DiRienzo got under that ball, which means it had a lot of backspin. And a ball with a lot of backspin is going to stay there quite a bit longer, which allowed the right fielder to make a play on that ball. However, somebody like Hutchinson, who stands more upright in the box, is hitting that ball. He probably hits more down on it, meaning he's got topspin. That might get down for a single. So there's really pluses and minuses to anything in baseball, and it's quite interesting to see how these things play out depending on who's hitting in what situation.
In that inning, 3 hits turned into 4 runs. Only one of them is earned to the starter Antoniak. There is an error on the third baseman Ingram, and 1 man left on base in the 3rd inning. Mata going to come back out for the 4th. Now pitching with a lead for the first time.
Like I mentioned an inning or so ago, Mata really seems to have settled in. He had his first scoreless inning in the top of the 3rd, so we'll have to see if he can carry that momentum now that he's got something to protect.
I'm going to look up the exact stat line from yesterday's game against the Azteca for Papillion-La Vista. Parker Ingram, 3 singles, 2 runs, and an RBI, as well as, no, he did not steal a base, but 1 flyout, so 3 for 4 for him there. Had a good game in his opener against the Scott team, that 10-run extravaganza, which was actually a comeback, believe it or not. And that's the thing keeping Scott out of the upper parts of the standings at the moment. That 1 loss to Papillion.
And this tournament there's been a remarkable parity of competition. We've had a lot of close games across the board.
Only 2 mercy rules in the first 2 days, which, I mean, we're not done yet, but that is unbelievable. The Veterans Classic was maybe 40% mercy rules.
Yeah, and we love to see that. It's always nice. These teams have been coming to the Firecracker for a while. Most of these teams have been coming for quite a few years in a row, and it's always fun to see teams, on the same level.
Swung on and crushed by Parker Ingram right into the glove of Dalton Berg, and that'll be out number 1.
And that's just unfortunate right there. You can't hit a ball any better than that. It was a good piece of hitting. He stayed, behind on it and hit it the other way. Just got a little unlucky. There was a guy sitting right where that ball was going to land.
Ryan Thompson, the DH, now up 0 for 1, grounded out to short his last time up. Strike 1 hits the letters. Probably wouldn't have landed on a shorter batter's box. 0-1.
Thompson here, another guy that's very upright in the box, and that's probably one of the reasons that his strike zone's been stretched a little bit upwards from the umpire behind the plate.
Yeah, you got to account for stuff like that, though. The rules say underside of the armpits to the top of the knees, I think. I don't know if the rules are any different for this than MLB, but yeah. 1-2 count. Fouled away.
And that's back-to-back breaking balls for Mata. He's really started to rely on that as his strikeout pitch, and the batter barely held up on the first one, and he fouled the second one off. So you got to wonder what the decision's like going into the 3rd pitch in a 1-2 count.
And here it is. Fastball right back into the glove of Mata. In and out. He'll underhand to first in time. And that'll be the 2nd out of the inning. Nearly made the catch on the comebacker. Didn't matter. He finished the play.
I think that was a little bit of a self-preservation move for AJ Mata. That ball was pretty sharply hit, and he kind of just got his glove in the way of it, which is what you want to do, because if it doesn't get by you, it's more likely you're going to make it out.
Man, there was somebody for Casper. I can't remember his name right now, but one of the guys had back-to-back catches on comebackers that were just crushed off the bats of, it was Roach and Crossweight. That swung on and grounded softly to second. Throw to first in time. And a 1-2-3 inning in the top of the fourth. Mata really settling in and protecting a lead. Now, going into the bottom of the fourth for the first time in a very long time, Pueblo West, or sorry, not Pueblo West, Premier West, gonna look to build on a lead.
It's understandable mixing those up. We got a lot of P teams in this tournament for some reason. And
Papillion,
the rain is starting to come down here again.
But it's sunny. I don't know.
Yeah, it's sunny, and this is kind of what it's like in Rapid City. You know, you really never expect it. It hits you for about 10 minutes and then leaves. I think it's likely they'll play through this, but one thing to watch is when it gets a little bit wet, it's always a little bit harder for the pitchers to control their breaking balls, which can work to the advantage of a hitter if they know that a pitcher is less likely to rely on their curveball.
That happened last night with Javier Baca for the Pueblo squad. He was trying to wipe off his hand. It was a torrential downpour for maybe like 2 minutes, and then it was over. And he came back out, but he was out there on the mound during the build up to it before it happened. And I was wondering, where would you wipe your hand off? Your clothes are soaked, your hat is soaked. Maybe the inside of your glove?
You got to find something. I don't know. Whatever seems to work, I guess.
Yeah. It was definitely an interesting deal. He was talking to his manager about how I just can't grab that.
Yeah.
And Pueblo able to still win that game. But that was over the Rhode Island team, which in retrospect looks like a very strong win for Pueblo, with Rhode Island blowing the doors off Rocky Mountain this morning, 12-0. Bottom of the fourth started out, backhanded grab, shortstop, it's a bouncer, and they got him. He might have gotten there if he ran a little harder.
One of the nice things about turf is those bouncers for the first baseman are always slightly more predictable, which just gives you a little peace of mind if you're playing first. You know what the height the bounce is going to take, and so it's sometimes a little bit easier to convert those plays. And that was still a pretty good throw from the shortstop, who was way deep in the hole when he made that throw.
He might have gotten there. It felt like he held up at the last moment.
Yeah, it's a bit difficult for me to see from my vantage point. Floyd Fitzgerald is probably the nicest Legion ballpark in the country, but it does have the press box on the first base line, which is a little bit strange.
Yeah, well, honestly, it's not too bad. I get a view of the dinosaur straight on.
That's true, and last night there was a rainbow coming out of the dinosaur, which is indicative of some kind of mythic blessing of the tournament, I would guess.
We had the rainbow twice in total. We had a beautiful night in our game against Sturgis last year. That swung on and fouled away. I've got those photos all over, but yeah, plenty of people posting their rainbow pictures under the somewhat wavy sky of Rapid City back in, what was it, the 5th or something? Grounded hard, and another play, backhanded grab, throw to first, and he got him!
That's back-to-back incredible plays by the shortstop. Both of those are deep in the hole. Both of those require a really quick first step to get to the ball, and both of them require a strong arm to make the throw. So he's done it twice. He knows how to do it, and it's pretty impressive both times.
Great jobs from Alex Imig, who, in addition to being the shortstop here, he's batting 2-hole. Here's Kellogg.
And you can tell that the Pinnacle Bank team is paying some attention. They know that Kellogg is not going to hit for power. You got the third baseman creeping up onto the infield grass, or turf, if you will, expecting a bunt or some form of tomfoolery.
He fouls it away.
But it looks like Kellogg's just willing to swing away and punish Pinnacle Bank for their assumptions here.
I mean, last time he was up, he hit a blooper and brought in a run. He ended up scoring.
That is true, yeah.
Take it high. Would have been a strike on a couple guys on this.
And while Ingram, the third baseman, is basically on the turf, the shortstop, Imig, and Schneider, the second baseman, are on the outfield grass, which means they're really trying to cover all their bases here in terms of ways that Kellogg could get on base.
They're not anticipating a big pull down the line, which I haven't seen either.
Yeah, it'd be tough for Ingram to react to something like that with his current position.
3-1, fouled away, count now full.
Kellogg's got a really pretty swing at the plate, by the way. A lot of people tend to prefer left-handed swings, myself included, primarily because I was a left-handed swing. But Kellogg really has a nice tempo on his swing. It's super relaxed, and it's his hands are in a good position right when the ball's delivered, so it's fun to watch.
Foul back.
It's extremely balanced, which is always what makes swings fun to watch.
Yeah. You've got a different appreciation for the game. I never ended up playing it in any qualified or organized fashion. That's hit high into center. Underneath it, and play is made by Vodka. That'll end the inning. So an unproblematic 1-2-3 inning in the bottom of the fourth, and holding the team to no runs. Still just a one-run game. AJ Mata coming back out. He's pitched 2 scoreless in a row. Can he keep it going?
I think unproblematic seems to be the name of the game for the past couple innings. This game has really hit the gas and sped up quite a bit these past couple innings as the pitchers are finding their zones and settling in. So we'll see what we're in for in the last couple innings. If the past couple games are anything to judge by, though, it won't be drama-free.
Yeah, definitely not. We've had an unbelievable great amount of games here. 3 walk-offs so far. The end of the Bellevue Pueblo game came down to the last swing. The end of Scott Premier came down to the last swing. And then there were several walk-offs, 2 extra inning games, and only 2 mercy rules. You couldn't ask for much better in terms of just raw excitement. And everybody's pretty close, top to bottom. Rhode Island is the team I can't figure out.
Rhode Island seems a bit inconsistent. They brought, I think, 13 guys or 14 guys.
They brought a few,
which means that they really have to cover each other's backs in terms of positions. Everybody's got to pitch. You know, it's really tough to cover a long tournament with that amount of guys. But I can tell you one thing is that those guys are incredibly scrappy and they are playing hard.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know if there's anything different from. I wonder if there's like regional styles of things that like different regional pitching styles or different regional stuff where everybody picks it up from one another, and somebody from the east is like really able to see a hanging changeup because everybody throws that out there when they can't out when it's different out here or something like that.
Yeah, I feel like traditional sports like baseball are pretty resistant to competition metas like that, just because everybody's got a different skill set and everybody does things kind of the same way.
Mm-hmm.
But they certainly do have a different way of approaching the Legion season, considering that Rhode Island only came into this tournament with 12 games played or something.
They finished school in June.
Yeah.
Late June at that.
Speaking of Rhode Island, after the first night of the tournament, they went up to Bellefouche and went to a rodeo.
Oh,
I
great.
talked to the players afterwards, and most of them had never even been to a rodeo before.
It was their first rodeo.
Yeah. So that's always fun. You get guys from out of town come to these tournaments, and they do things they've never done before, and that's part of the fun of the Firecracker. You know, a couple years ago we had a California team. Last year, obviously, the Next Level Club from North Carolina. Now a Rhode Island team. They just get to experience a lot of stuff.
That's great. Swung on and off the glove of Bray. He's going to pick it up. The throw is high and won't get there in time.
And that's
Kenji Bray almost pulling that in.
That's when you talk about the first step. When you talk about a great fielder, you talk about their first step. And it looks like Kenji Bray was just a tiny bit slow and hesitant on his first step, which is the inch that he needed to get that ball into his glove more securely. It was almost a great play. The ball was hit really well, so good try, but not quite able to convert there.
So they'll go down, not as an error, but an infield single for Skylar Kraneski. He's going to be pinch run for by Jude Purvis. Last time this happened, Purvis took second and came in to score. A bunt put down, a little bit strong. The throw to first in time, but the sacrifice successful.
Did his job. That's all he needed to do. In a game that's separated by 1 run, you get a runner into scoring position with less than 2 outs. You give your team 2 chances, 2 cracks at it to get this run across and bring this thing level. So he did his job. That's what his coaches wanted of him. He's got to be pretty pleased with himself going back to the dugout.
So the sack bunt with when you already have a hit, do the analytics still favor that for something like this?
I'm not sure what the analytics favor. I know the coaches still favor it.
I know that's traditional baseball knowledge, but you would think if you're already getting a hit, then you're on a sample size of guys who are probably able to get hits. It's easier with a pitcher where you're like, okay, well, you're not swinging, just put it down. But
yeah, bunt is just a higher percentage of success.
Swinging a minute straight too.
So when you put down a bunt, you know that pretty much anybody in your lineup can get that down, and you're going to have more success with that. You know, you're going to do that maybe 70% of the time as opposed to a hit, which would do 30% of the time at best. So you have to think there's some wisdom to it.
There's somebody else standing in front of the camera. That's fouled away. And strike 2.
And really, traditional coaches like Coach Torvey will absolutely sell their lives for the bunt. Like they believe in it like it's a religion. They think it's an integral part of baseball, and they think it's incredibly important for the strategy of the game. So, guys that have been around the game for multiple decades like that really, swear by it. So that should tell you something about the quality of the play.
Totally. I mean, if it was wrong, they would have seen enough to leave it behind a while ago. And there's a tag made, swing and a miss. Strike 3. Down goes Easton Schneider, the leadoff man, and that'll be just the first K of the day, actually.
That's kind of surprising because Mata, that was a nasty curveball from
Mm-hmm.
Mata. We talk about conditioning. He conditioned the batter more than once with a fastball, and then that curveball wasn't even close to the zone, but got the batter to chase.
Alex Imig now up. Throw is not there. Kenji Bray was covering for the throw. The throw goes to Kenji's side. Kenji's on the second base side. And the ball gets into the outfield. Luckily, nothing comes of it.
That looked like it might have slipped out of Mata's hand. That throw seemed very odd. It was like 2 feet short of the second base bag, which is usually indicative of the fact that he just didn't get a grip on it like he wanted to. But no damage done. The runner doesn't advance. Good job by the center fielder Kellogg to get in and back that play up.
All right. Imig. Strike at the knees.
That's another great breaking ball right there. First pitch breaking ball for a strike is always a good way to set the tone for an at-bat.
No balls. 1 strike. They might check back on the runner. Not going to. And ball 1. So what he did there, he starts looking and then he goes into his motion, turns around mid-motion. Is that something that you're taught to do or to avoid?
In terms of if you're going to pick somebody off at second?
In terms of keeping your eye on them.
Oh, yeah, I see what you mean. There's a pop-up by Imig. It's super high, but Kellogg looks like he's got the measure of it, and he does. He makes a catch for the third out of the inning. Yeah, pitchers, pitching is 95% muscle memory.
Mm-hmm.
And so looking at the second base bag before you make a move to the plate typically doesn't hinder pitchers too much, although I know there are some pitchers that avoid it just because they feel like it distracts them or, breaks their concentration or something. But it typically is good to do because you can pick off a runner on second or third with your leg lifted as long as you haven't made a move towards home. And so looking back in the middle of a motion is a way to keep runners honest.
Yeah, so what I've seen Harry do, and Dietrich does it a little bit as well, is right as the pitcher's about to turn, they jitter a little. Is that an intentional move in order to distract them or get them to second guess, force a balk? What's that going for?
The runner's job is to distract the pitcher. And so anything that you do to get in the pitcher's head, and that includes faking a steal to second, it includes some people will start to steal and then come back. Anything that you can do to get in their head is intentional and also something that's worth considering. So, yeah, I would think that's intentional on the part of the Hard Hats runners. And the Hard Hats are really good on the base pass, and that's one thing that they do to keep defenders honest.
That's one of the things. Hard Hats, not necessarily the most powerful team, but they keep the line moving, a million hits, great plate approach. And I've heard other people from broadcasters from other groups say that it's really tough to see a team like the Expos or the Hard Hats because it's like, man, you get through one and there's the same guy staring you back for the next one. That's popped up into shallow left, shortstop underneath it. Imig makes the grab.
Yeah, and the hard hats too. That's one thing Coach Torvey preaches is just approach at the plate. Like if you strike out, it's not necessarily he doesn't care necessarily unless you've put in a bad at bat. And a bad at bat is striking out on 3 pitches. But if you foul off 6 or 7 pitches and you battle, then you've wormed your way into the pitcher's head. You've made him second guess. You've made him go through his repertoire of pitches. You've elevated his pitch count, and that is something that a coach will be genuinely pretty happy with. And actually, in extra innings last night, Philip Bent strikes out to start the 8th. But Coach Torvey said it was an excellent at-bat because he fouled off 3 or 4 pitches. He really worked his way into the at-bat, and he softened the pitcher up for the next guy at the plate to get on base. And that was the 7th inning, I think. 7th inning, not the 8th.
Mm-hmm. It's something that I particularly see in Aaron Roach. He is, like his name would imply, impossible to kill.
Yeah, Aiden Roberts, too, is another one I've noticed is excellent at that. The first at-bat of the game last night, he goes down 0-2, fouls off 3 pitches, and then forces a walk in like a 12-pitch at-bat. You just can't ask for more than that from your
Nope.
leadoff guy.
Ball just a little bit high. Now a 1-1 count here for Antoniak in his 5th inning of work.
And Antoniak and Mata are getting into an unexpected pitcher's duel in the second half of this game.
It just flipped a switch. Ground ball over to Imig. He pumps, throws, and gets the man. 2 down now here in the 6th inning. Or no, we're still in the bottom of the 5th. Sorry.
So Hutchinson, the 3-hole batter, now up, looking to get something started for Premier West. And if anybody's going to do it, it would be this part of the lineup. But Berg and Tahilo are both really dangerous, and Antoniak put them away without too much trouble as Antoniak throws strike 1 to Hutchinson there.
All right, Hutchison back up. He had a walk, came around to score his last time up. Well, no, he reached on the air, ended up scoring. I had Trujillo in my head there. Aragon on deck, who just got a big slump settled with a 2-run lead-giving go-ahead double. Let's see where this goes. All in the dirt. What position were you?
I played a lot of second base. I wasn't very fast, and I didn't hit very much power either, so they stuck me in a position I couldn't do too much damage.
That's fun. Yeah. That works. It was interesting. I remember thinking that it was like Hollick is a pretty good third baseman, but we move him over to second, and I was wondering what they were doing with Roberts. The answer was Roberts was sort of wasted on second.
Yeah, the reason that we make that move is we wait for the 2-2 to Hutchinson.
Outside ball.
Yeah, that's a good take. It's just a bit high. The reason we do that is because Hayden Hollick is very powerful but doesn't move very well. Roberts has what Coach Torrey says is one of the quickest first steps he's ever seen in a fielder, and that includes guys like Cooper Bowman. So you put Roberts in the hot corner, as Hutchinson fouls another one away, and you move Hayden Hollick over to second where he's got less lateral ground to cover, and it's ended up being a pretty good move for the Hard Hats, and
absolutely.
it shows a lot of experience and a lot of knowledge of your players.
Well, it helps when everybody sticks together for a very long time.
That's true, and a lot of these guys have been on the Hard Hats for 3 or 4 years, so Coach Torrey knows them incredibly well.
We're still in the full count, locked in a duel, and that ball is crushed into deep right center. It's going to be caught by Kellogg. Or no, that is Vodka.
That's a great route from Vodka to that ball. It looks like he's adjusted. These center fielders have adjusted to the flight of the ball. And that ball was hit really well, but it was hit to a deep part of the park. And Vodka got on his horse and got over there and made that catch without too much fuss.
Wow, that was something. Vodka now with 2 very rangy center field plays for a guy who has not been playing center most of this tournament.
Yeah, a lot of times outfielders are interchangeable, and you see that with teams like the Hard Hats. Harrison Good played right field primarily last year. He's in center this year. So the skills are transferable. It just kind of depends on what the rest of your lineup looks like and where the needs are.
Absolutely. So, all right, so just to get into this, so you were a big part of, you ran Hard Hats TV at some point in here as well for the video side, for the production side.
Correct, yeah.
So what did that look like when you were doing it?
Well, the Post 22 program is a tradition of excellence, is their slogan, but the emphasis is put on tradition often. And they had a tradition of making our audio-video guy carry around a suitcase that was about 130 pounds worth of desktop computer to every home and away game. We had no permanent setup, nothing. And when I was doing the audio-video, I decided to switch that to an OBS system, which could be run off a laptop. So there were some growing pains, and we still see that.
Was that like a real mixer?
Cameras. What's that?
Was that like a real?
Yeah, we had a soundboard. We had a monitor, like a PC monitor and everything. And so the OBS system has been a godsend. Oliver no longer has to lug 150 pounds into every stadium. So yeah, there were growing pains. The camera was a bit problematic sometimes. Wi-Fi can be a bit of a pain sometimes, but We do our best to bring it to you. We appreciate all of you who tune in regardless and keep track of the hard hats. It means a ton to the program, it means a ton to the players, and it means a ton that you guys care enough about baseball to stay tuned. And we appreciate all of you visiting team parents and friends and family that are watching as well. We really enjoy broadcasting these for you guys, and I know it's always fun to be able to watch your guys play when they're on the road. So thanks for tuning in, and it makes Hard Hats TV a pretty special experience for all involved.
Absolutely. Mata back out. First pitch strike.
Mata is getting really comfortable on the mound. That's the second inning in a row he's thrown an off-speed pitch. I think that was a slider for a strike for the first pitch of the inning, and that just sets the tone. Puts the hitter off pace a little bit, and he's able to capitalize right there with another breaking ball that Apgar swings right through.
Apgar 0 for 2 in this game, grounded into a double play his last time up, but has traditionally been a really good power bat. Got 1 home run last year, I believe, in this tournament. Takes high.
And Apgar is a big guy. He's 6'4", 6'5" at least, and So I can see power bat fitting this his archetype quite well. So you got to be a little careful if you're Mata what you throw to this guy.
6'3", 205, officially fouled into the glove of the
and Apgar, that ball was in on the hands of Apgar. He almost hit himself in the stomach with the handle of his bat as he was trying to pull the bat through the zone there. So Mata was really in his head, and Apgar felt like he had to protect, and he got him to swing at something that was clearly out of the zone on the inside part of the plate. So very well done by Mata.
Grounded hard over to short. Bray leisurely throw to first in time. And the second out retired, so 2 down now for Mata. Papillion run out of time.
And there's 2 types of teams usually. There's types of teams that hit fastballs better, and there's types of teams that hit breaking balls better. And in the early part of this game, when Mata was relying on the fastball, Pinnacle Bank was hitting the fastball a lot better. But now that Mata's relying on his breaking ball a lot more, it looks like Pinnacle Bank is struggling a little bit to adjust.
Mata, just a little bit high, barely.
So you have to wonder if Pinnacle Bank is just a team that's a better fastball hitting team than breaking ball hitting team, and it looks like Mata's a primarily breaking ball pitcher when he's comfortable.
You gotta wonder if that was a scouting decision to put him in this game in particular. Maybe they were watching something else. There's a lot of time to watch games while you're waiting for your game to happen.
That's true. I've been to about 10 games over the past 2 days, so you can learn a lot of things when you watch that much baseball. Ooh, good breaking ball, barely misses off the inside part of the plate there for Mata. That was a good pitch, but he's now in the hole 3-0.
Well, at this point, do you want to give a guy like Parker Ingram a meatball?
I think you do, yeah. 95% of the time at this level, a guy will have a take on a 3-0 count. So I think you get in the zone and then take your chances.
There he goes.
He was taken all the way on that pitch. There wasn't any load there in the batter's box at all. So I think that's a good decision. Now Mata can look to go back after him with something that's a little trickier.
Let's see. Fastball, strike 2.
Good fastball there. That would have been a hard pitch to hit on the lower outside corner to a right-handed bat. So it would have been really hard for Ingram to put that ball anywhere, really, in the outfield.
Ingram sets in the ball low.
He tried to do the same thing. He tried to throw the same pitch twice. A lot of pitching coaches will frown on that because if you don't do it as well the second time, you're either going to walk somebody or get lit up like a Christmas tree. So Mata tries the same pitch a second time, doesn't quite get the same result, and we end up with a runner on first and Ingram with 2 out here in the top of the 6th inning. So a little something cooking here for Pinnacle Bank.
Brings up Ryan Thompson, the designated hitter. He's 0 for 2 so far in this game. Did come through with a double and a single in the later innings of the game yesterday against Pueblo. Swung on and turned over to third. It's collected, the throw across the diamond in time from Rousey, and that will end the inning. So despite the walk, nobody scores. Mata standing tall here and protecting the lead. 4 consecutive shutout innings after allowing 3 in the first 2.
And that was just another good pitch by Mata. It was on the inside part of the plate. Thompson tried to get around to it. He tried to pull the bat through the zone. But with the pitch that's thrown that hard on the inside part of the plate, you just do not have enough time to get your bat through the zone to get any power on that ball. So he ended up turning his wrist over on it. Kind of a weak topspin grounder to third, and it ends up being an easy 3rd out for the team from Papillion-La.
That's something different. So we talk about the humidity effect in the fly balls. It also, the altitude and dry conditions also do mean that your balls usually do not like break quite as much at this level.
Yeah, that's baseball science. That's beyond my level of knowledge or experience. But you get guys that have pitched for years, and they will talk about things like this. And for instance, in the MLB, and you're probably familiar with this, there is a preference for one type of baseball over another, or one type of condition over another, because it helps pitchers feel like they can throw pitches more consistently. So there is something to that. I don't know if at this level the pitchers are attuned enough to the feel of their breaking balls to actually have that make a difference. But there is something there.
Yeah, pitchers also just kind of superstitious guys. It's
That's true.
something that
Yes.
could absolutely be placebo.
If you've ever played baseball or you've ever been around baseball, there is one universal truth, and it's that pitchers are weird human beings.
Yeah.
And whatever they do, it seems to work. So I guess they just can roll with it. But sometimes it would be a superstition thing. I could see that.
I had the thought that baseball pitchers and hockey goalies seem to be very similar people. And ground ball to third, Ingram takes care of it. But I feel like they are cousins in the sports world.
It could be true. Yeah, I think the reason pitchers are so odd is they get so much downtime. You get pitchers not throwing for 4 days in a row, and so they have plenty of time to think of weird stuff to do with the dugout. Which usually means that you've got at least one or two pitchers that are the class clown of the baseball program, which everybody in the dugout loves.
Inside ball taken. Remember particularly Palmer Jacobs recently.
Palmer Jacobs was a bit of a goofball. Yeah, the Hard Hats have had a couple of those in a line actually.
Yeah.
We had a guy a number of years ago by the name of Zach Weitzel that was an absolute goof, and then the second he stepped on the mound, he was a cold-blooded assassin. And those two people weren't related in any way. They weren't the same person, but somehow he was both of them, and it worked. He was one of the best pitchers in the program for quite a long time.
And strike two.
Weitzel's a great family. They supported the Post 22 program for a long time. So shout out to the Weitzel. Shout out to Kurt Weitzel if you're out there watching. We miss you guys. Come back to the ballpark and visit us at some point.
Maybe you can make it before the end of the tournament.
That's true. Maybe tonight for fireworks.
You wouldn't want to miss it. That's grounded hard. Bray covering the throw low, but handled by Apgar. And sorry, that was
Brains.
no, it was it. It's the jerseys. I can't tell.
The jerseys are. You guys might not be able to see it on the stream, but they look awful similar to one another. Both of them are, like Oliver said earlier, either navy blue or black and white.
With the gray pants too.
Yeah, with gray pants. So a little bit difficult to tell.
DiRienzo, first pitch, swing and a miss.
Another great pitch from Antoniak there. First pitch breaking ball. Got DiRienzo to swing right over the top of it. Second pitch breaking ball too from Antoniak. He's really leaning on that pitch. He's really comfortable with it, and that's trouble if you are a Premier West hitter.
Absolutely. Swung on and lifted into center. And it'll be caught out there by Vatica, sorry. And that'll end the inning. So the pitching duel just keeps going.
Yeah, and that's a bit unlucky for DiRienzo, to be honest, because that ball was hit very well. And again, he just hit it right at people. This is something that sometimes happens. For instance, for the Hard Hats, Tate Crossway's been in a little bit of a
Twice last night.
He absolutely torches a ball into the outfield and hits it right at somebody. And sometimes you just can't.
He did it to right, and then he did it again to left.
Yeah. And we were talking about superstitions. Maybe he just needs to be more superstitious or something. But sometimes when you're a baseball player and you're in a slump, it just feels like nothing can go right. And it seems like that was the case for DiRienzo there. He hit it really well, just got pretty unlucky.
And then there's just Wyatt Reeder, where I can't explain why he hits so well.
And yeah, Wyatt Reeder, Coach Torrey thinks that Wyatt Reeder is one of the best hitters in the state, and there's a lot of colleges interested in Reeder.
He was over 400 last year, and he's going to finish the year at 750 this year.
Yeah,
the news I hear.
Granted, only a couple games.
Yeah.
Yeah, Coach Torrey told some college coaches, he said, I swear Wyatt Reeder could hit 250 for you right now. He's just that talented.
And he's like 15.
And he just needs to stay healthy. Some guys really struggle with their health, and Wyatt Reeder unfortunately went down with a really tough injury earlier in the year. So we hope he'll be back. He's someone that has a lot of promise in the program. You hate to see guys like that afflicted with injuries.
The thing about Wyatt that's so crazy, he's not only a great baseball player, he's a two-time All-State hockey player.
Yeah, we got a couple guys like that. Hayden Hollick and Alex Dietrich were on one of the best hockey teams in the state of South Dakota together for quite a number of years.
They're all together right now.
Yeah, and so they...
I think Harry as well.
I don't know if Harry ever played hockey. I know Harry's dad was a really good
Harry
wrestler.
did because I know that Harry did because he. Wait, Darren was a really good wrestler?
Yeah. Talk
Wow.
to, or actually, I think he might have been a rodeo guy. It's either one of the two. Talk to Darren sometimes about his athletic
Huh.
career. Pretty interesting stories.
Wow. I need to ask more questions there.
Darren Good, obviously one of the facilities directors of the tournament, has been an absolute godsend for keeping this field in tip-top condition. As we see a ball there to the batter, and that's one of the reasons we can turn these games around so quick, is because guys like Darren Good are so attentive to the field and make sure that we keep it in great shape.
Yeah, he's the everything guy. He touches up the field, escorts out the coaches.
That's true. Premier West still without their coach from last game. Darren Good had to escort him off of the premises after he got into a little scuffle with the umpire Yogi Millslagle from the last game.
2 balls, no strikes. Bottom of the order needing to come through here for Papillion. They're running out of time. 3 more outs to go. Caden Sterling, the man up to bat. Lotta gives him a fastball fouled off the leg.
Sterling swung really hard at that baseball. It's clear he was looking for something like that because he was in a hitter's count, and he just missed that. He probably wants that pitch back.
Well, we'll see if Mata does. He's going back for Rosin. He's done that about 4 times today.
I would bet my entire life savings that we see a number of breaking balls moving here in the end of the at-bat. There's
There
the
it
first
is.
one. And it's a strike in the bottom of the zone. That's a really good pitch.
That thing came with some juice on it behind it too.
Yeah, it looks like that was more in the vein of a slider than a curveball. Had a lot of lateral movement and some heat behind it.
2-2. Swung on, grounded. Bray handles the throw. High, but on target. And out number 1 recorded.
I'm really impressed with Mata's pitch selection because I think the pitch selection there went fastball, slider, changeup. And that's just really hard to adjust to as the hitter. And the changeup ends up getting the batter to roll over on it. Kind of a weak ground ball to shortstop, and it's a routine play for the first out. So Pinnacle Bank's got 2 outs left to save this game here. And this would be a big win for Premier West as a team who hasn't gotten one in the win column yet.
And they would knock off an undefeated team.
That's true. Yeah.
This would be a huge upset. It just doesn't feel like that because they've been the better team in this game.
Yeah, Premier West is a really solid team. They've just gotten a bit unlucky. And another thing is this is probably big for the Post-22 Expos who play this Pinnacle Bank team next in the second and last game of the day.
They might just get the horns.
Yeah, that's true. Sometimes that'll happen. When you make a team mad, you'll get the horns.
And they're going to get out of town before Expos have to before anything. If they get out of here, make the upset, they're going to get a talk from the coach, and then they're going to let it all out on the Expos, possibly.
That's true. And that might happen with Missoula, too. The Expos really upset Missoula early in the tournament, beat them 6-0. And the Hard Hats play Missoula tonight. And I was talking to pitching coach Nick Kindred yesterday, and he said, well, we might get some retribution because I think that Missoula probably wants some revenge for that ball game.
Yeah, something else. Missoula, weirdly enough, lost to the junior team 6-0. Beat us 12-10.
Yeah, Coach Kinder was also not happy about that game because that was still way early in the year when we hadn't figured out our pitching rotation. So he thinks that we owe Missoula some payback as well.
Skylar Kraneski grounds a ball over to first. It's handled cleanly. Flip to first, unnecessary, but in time.
And I sound like a broken record here, but Mata again throws a curveball that gets the batter to roll over on one. He's a ground ball pitcher because he's throwing primarily breaking balls. And Pinnacle Bank just cannot seem to lift one into the outfield. They constantly seem to be hitting on top of the ball.
No. Is he out of pitches?
I wonder. He might be out of pitches. He did have quite a few pitches through the first 2 innings of the game.
He's only got 1 more to go.
And if you start a batter, you can finish it, correct?
Yeah,
Before
but
you reach the pitch count.
Yeah, but if he hit it just now, he can't finish the game. Oh, he's still out there. They're just checking to make sure he's good. 1 more out to go, and they would be Premier West coming out with the upset so far of the tournament, knocking off this 2-0 Papillion team.
Well, I would think that the Expos over Missoula might be the upset.
We'll see how it turns out with Missoula. At the moment, they're 1-2.
That's true. Yeah, they did run into this Pinnacle Bank team actually, didn't they? That treated them pretty harshly on day 1.
Swung on and hit hard into left field. He's not giving up yet. Aiden Vodka gives that one a ride. It's off the wall. Picked up and left. The relay, he's going for 3. There might be a play here. Kenji's throw, not in time. Aiden Vodka, a triple with his back against the wall. And Pinnacle still in this game.
And the team from Papillion, their supporters are going nuts in the stands as well. They should be. They have looked dead in the water against Mata for 3 innings, and all of a sudden they've got some life here. And all they need is one. So a single here brings this game back to level, and we might be looking at extra baseball.
We have had, that is the second hit since the first at-bat of the 3rd inning off of Mata.
Yeah, Mata's looked untouchable, and so that hit is big for the confidence of Pinnacle Bank. Let's see if they can convert.
Well, they pass it off to the leadoff man, Easton Schneider.
And Mata, in true AJ Mata form, starts with a breaking ball right down the middle to get strike 1 to the hitter.
Ball is swung on and lifted. It will be caught for the win!
What a play by Aragon to reel that ball in.
Oh.
Aragon got an absolutely fantastic jump on that ball to reel that in, and that is how the game ends. You gotta love that if you were a Premier West fan after losing so many close games.
And you just lost one on a defensive play on the other side that was good. You just win one on a defensive play that's great. After last night where you were 1 dropped ball away from getting the win, that's got to feel very therapeutic. Pinnacle Bank goes down, and Premier West gets their much-deserved win on the back of a complete game, 3-run outing from AJ Mata.
Yeah, and if you are Premier West, you are thankful for 2 things. You were thankful for that play from Kendrick Aragon because that ball would have tied the game, and you were thankful that AJ Mata was able to adjust after the 2nd inning and absolutely shut out Pinnacle Bank the rest of the way. That is an excellent game by both teams, well played, and Premier West has some momentum moving into the final couple days of this tournament.
Absolutely. They end up splitting the doubleheader for the day. Now the other team with the doubleheader is going to take it in to play the Expos. We actually are not... That game made up time.
Yeah, that was an incredibly quick game. I guess that happens when you only have 10 total hits in the game and they're spread across 7 innings. That game was pretty speedy, so we should have the Expos game for you shortly.
It should be actually probably the scheduled time of 4:30.
Yeah, and don't sleep on this game, folks, because a lot of people tend to sleep on the post-22 Expos, but the post-22 Expos can stand up to anybody in this tournament, and they might play this Pinnacle Bank team tough. It's going to be a tough assignment. Pinnacle Bank is one of the better teams here, but the Expos don't quit. They don't... They don't back down from anybody, and so stay tuned to the Expos game, and also stay tuned to the Hard Hats game tonight if you can't make it out to the stadium, because we will have fireworks after the game. And we've got 2 great guys going on the mound tonight. We've got Lee Negebauer pitching for the Hard Hats, and we've got the ace for Missoula that's throwing for them. I know there's a couple scouts from NDSU that are planning to look at the Missoula pitcher. So it should be an absolutely fantastic game for the last game, the nightcap tonight before the fireworks. So
if Missoula's holding on to an ace, I have to see him because they've thrown 3 pitchers
and they've all been
that have all been really good.
Yeah, and I do think that this last pitcher is Missoula's ace. I think most teams in this tournament will tend to save their ace for us because they're playing in prime time. They want to make sure that they're playing their best.
I was anticipating Lee being thrown tonight. It's going to be interesting. He's committed to Miles Community College.
Yeah, it is Negebauer on the mound for us, our great left-handed pitcher. In Missoula, I know that there were conversations in the coaches group chat about what time this guy was pitching because there's a couple scouts that are interested in him. So you got to think this is the ace for Missoula as well, and it should be an excellent game this evening.
Well, we'll see how it goes. Would that happen to be? Would that be? Is that Easton Reimers or?
I'm not sure, and I should know. I wasn't as prepared as I needed to be to talk about Missoula today, but we'll find out at 7 p.m. tonight, and I guess if you on Hard Hats TV want to know, you either got to turn up to the ballpark or tune back into the stream.
Absolutely. Well, we're excited to see Expos play in just a minute. Thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure to have you on back again for Hard Hats TV.
Yeah. I appreciate it. I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I wish you the best of luck. I wish your voice the best of luck the rest of the night. I hope it hangs in there for the rest of the night.
We'll see. It'll make it to the end of the night. Will it make it to Sunday is the real question.
All right. Sounds good.
Then naturally projecting anyways. But thank you all for watching. We've got another stream. I believe 4:30, a reasonable time to expect this one to start. Expos versus Papillion. Might be a little earlier. Might be 4:25. But anyways, excited to see it happen. Thank you all for watching. You're watching Hard Hats TV. From Oliver Fell and Logan Torby, have a good rest of your day. And for Pinnacle people, tune into the other stream here on the channel. You did great.
Nice.
A ton of X's and O's.